The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello, this is TVWAN News. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Terry with sports. Join me later on in the bulletin.
In this edition, PM says Korea trip was successful, fish technology empowering women, and round 12 a must-win for hunters. Police officers in Arawa, Buin and Buka are now utilizing an updated data management system to document all complaints and police operations through a digital occurrence book. This advanced digitalized data system, developed in 2022, is being supported by the Australian government in collaboration with the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Paul Lehman, the Minister Councillor from the Australian High Commission in Papua New Guinea, visited the Buka police station to observe the implementation and rollout of the new OB. Accompanied by Bougainville Police Commissioner Francis Tokura, the visiting delegates were given a tour of the police station and provided with a briefing on the progress of the new OB by the Bougainville Police IT team. The updated digital occurrence book allows for more efficient and streamlined recording of complaints and police operations, replacing the traditional paper-based system. Prime Minister James Marape arrived in Papua New Guinea from South Korea on Thursday with much to tell of the significant inaugural Korea-Pacific Islands Summit and bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of South Korea, Han Duck-soo. The PM said overall it was successful in that PNG has a lot to learn from the third biggest economy. Yesterday, Prime Minister James Marape arrived from South Korea to attend the second-day inaugural Korea-Pacific Islands Summit and bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of South Korea, Han Duck-soo, and key leaders. PM Marape emphasized that Korea is the third biggest economy and a lot of lessons to be learned from Korea.
Good exchanges, good meetings. These meetings took place at the margin of historic first Korea South Pacific or Pacific Island Forum member countries. All leaders from the Pacific again were up there in Seoul. We had a very good meeting combined, all in all, but for PNG more so. Good bilateral with these three key Korean leaders, the President, the Prime Minister, and the Foreign Minister, took place. Our conversation engaged in continued expansion in trade, relationship between both countries, continued exchange at the government-to-government level, as well as for business-to-business and everyday people-to-people engagements.
Marape added that this is a continuation of rekindling the bilateral relationship with other nations.
In the last year, I had visited White House, I had visited the Prime Minister of Japan and in his office. I visited UK, both at the King's level as well as at the head of government level, Australia, China. We have established those important relationships that we relate with as a nation. And it is important for our country, for the leader of the country to make visits. Of course, along my entourage, I do bring vice ministers and other members of parliament or key government officials. Contrary to those who continue to be negative in the public space, we're not wasting time. It is not just fun. One-day visit and without less sleep, you just fly back to your country. It's stressful and takes a toll on your personal health, but nonetheless, this context must be made.
He gave an example of Fisheries Minister Jelta Wong, who was part of the team who attended the Korea-Pacific Summit and is making contact with the fishing sector in South Korea for more manufacturing in PNG and wrap up export to South Korea. Minister for Trade Richard Maru also attended. He is now in contact with the Korean Bank and Korean Trade Minister. Prime Minister James Marape also said he would with Deputy Prime Minister John Rosso and other parliamentary ministers and departmental heads today and through the weekend to go through the work progress before Parliament sitting next week. His announcement of minister and departmental meet also includes the forum with governors to address more function in the provincial level.
And for us to go through what we've done in the first 6 months of this year and what we have done in the last in the months after government formation up to last year August, for us to report to the country in the upcoming sitting of Parliament. Mid-year now, the country expects to know what we've done thus far. Myself, Deputy Prime Minister and senior ministers will be meeting all other ministers and department heads tomorrow onwards to ensure that the country's scorecard or report card. We'll be hosting a forum with the governors starting Sunday and Monday on us to have a look at the governors' issue on how we should support their functions better. And if governors want more function at the provincial level, from our national government perspective, we will not stand in that space, but we will tidy on what powers to be devolved to the provincial government.
Police Commissioner David Manning shed light on investigations surrounding the Paul Paraka case. Manning's update comes in the wake of the recent decision by the National Court and highlights the continued efforts to bring all individuals involved in the corruption scandal to justice. After a decade-long court battle, the National Court finally delivered its verdict on May the 29th, 2023. Manning revealed that Paraka has been convicted of misappropriating over 160 million kina in public funds. The court's decision not only highlights Paraka's involvement, but also opens up avenues for further investigations into related matters such as fraud, money laundering, and additional instances of misappropriation. Manning assured the nation that the investigation is far from over and that additional prosecutions will follow to ensure accountability in the arrest of those involved and to recoup all money lost in these illegal deals. This is TVWAN News after the break. Fisherwomen introduced to innovative fish processing technology to enhance the competitiveness of their fish products.
It was during and after COVID that really motivated me to want to take up life insurance. I think savings is very important, and I think One Talk Delight provides a disciplined approach to savings, and it's a good investment to want to think about the future because it's always nice to have plans for what you want to do later on.
With you for life.
From the rich soils of the highlands, the finest coffee has been grown by generations of Papua New Guineans. Expertly blended and roasted with over 80 years of experience, making the finest cup of Nescafe New Guinea blend. PNG's own coffee.
The Toyota JD Hiace bus comes in 14 and 15-seater high-roof luxury model powered by 2.8 liters JD engine for optimal performance output, fuel efficiency and quietness, designed with improved safety features and easy maneuverability for tire steering angle. The Hiace lift suspension and annular frame structure is opted for smooth ride, comfort and safety. Experience the ride on the Hiace bus and experience the Hiace pride, the bus that exceeds all expectations.
Right across the nation, we eat snacks crackers. Emi trubla. All get a young planalapun, only like him snacks crackers. Only make him here, no PNG, one-time lay biscuit company. It's crunchy and tasty. It's irresistible.
He loves the maroons. He loves the blues. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SB Lager, Bunyamyumi.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of vitamins and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell rice. Skell life.
Can he get it this time? Bending it back. It's home. Ben Hobbs has got his first goal in the big time.
Good hands for Phillips. He didn't rush the kick. He's delivered it well. Lucky didn't, but Zaha can. He certainly can.
Welcome back. Silas Kelre, a grade 10 boarding student at Palmalmal Secondary School, comes from the Galloway area in central inland Pomio, East New Britain province. Silas wants to be a lawyer one day. With access to and the use of new and improved learning resources, he aims to get into university to achieve his dream. Improved school infrastructure for teaching and learning contributes to quality education. Palmalmal Secondary is one of the institutions in the province that has reaped the benefits of infrastructure development. The facilities Silas uses were provided through a 3.5 million kina Australian government grant in 2017. With this funding, Palmalmal Secondary constructed 8 new classrooms, 2 science laboratories, and an ablution block for day students. Since the new facilities were opened in 2019, students' academic performance has improved. Prime Minister James Marape attended and gave his address to the inauguration ceremony of the Bank of China Representative's Office in Papua New Guinea. Marape commended and welcomed the Bank of China for stepping into developing economies like PNG. Prime Minister James Marape welcomed and addressed the inauguration ceremony of the Bank of China Representative Office in Papua New Guinea in the country on Thursday. The momentous occasion was also attended by Bank of China Chairman Ji Haijiao and Chinese Ambassador to PNG Zhang Fanhua. Members of Parliament and the private sector were also there in support. Marape commended and welcomed the Bank of China for stepping into developing economies like PNG because they only have offices in bigger economies like Australia and New Zealand.
Today, our economy is 113 billion kina. We envisage that within the next 7 years, as we come out of this decade, we want to go into a 200 billion kina economy. And that is the focus of this government. That is the focus of my generation of leaders.
PM Marape said that they are working extremely hard to ensure they go past the 200 billion kina economy threshold and at a level where the economy will be able to sustain the population of more than 10 billion people.
Let me assure you, you're coming into a country that is on the verge of our next phase of an important boom. This boom that will catapult us into a middle-income earning nation at the very earliest, and all of us, executive government, the parliament, our constitutional officers and independent organizations like the central bank, and every one of us are working in tandem to ensure we reach this important milestone of a growth economy.
He added that PNG's economy has immediate need for more than 1 or 2 banks. The government is working towards attracting investors into the market and reform the development bank into a commercial bank.
We have space to move into other products. lending to state-owned enterprises, lending to private public partnership programs, lending to SMEs, and of course, lending to other contracts that government may issue with a forward contract program that we have running in our public infrastructure programs and elsewhere. I want to encourage you to look into financial products. While you maintain your traditional products that you have elsewhere, I realize that you have a broad range of product capabilities. May you tailor a product for your PNG market that complements our endeavor to be a stronger economy.
In a remarkable development, women's groups in Papua New Guinea are embracing an innovative fish processing technology introduced by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations under the EU-funded Strait Program. This initiative aims to empower fisherwomen, diversify their products, and reduce post-harvest losses, extend fish shelf life, and enhance the competitiveness of their fish products.
In WIWAC, women's groups are embracing innovative technology to revolutionize fish processing, and through the EU-funded Strait Program, these fisherwomen are empowered to diversify their products, reduce losses, and increase the competitiveness of their fish business. The traditional open-fire smoking technique currently used in the is has been replaced by the FAO Thearoye technology, or FTT, which is more efficient and environmentally friendly. The FTT empowers fisherwomen to own and operate profitable fish businesses by offering a wide range of textures and flavors, increasing consumer choices and extending the shelf life of fish. Compared to traditional methods, FTT reduces fuel usage by 50%, resulting in better working conditions and reduced health risks for women and children.
The most important part of this FTT is that it cuts back on the time it takes to smoke the fish. It cuts back on the firewood that is used to consume, or that is consumed to smoke the fish, and the texture and the flavor of the fish really are better, especially from the standpoint, from the view of the consumers, which we have already been able to talk to. FTT was introduced by FAO, and it has made its rounds in the world, and now we are in the Greater Pacifics introducing this for PNG. We started with the Karawambo women here in Wewak. We're going to move to Angoram and many other places. We've proven that the amount of smoke, as polycyclic hydrocarbon, the cancer-causing agent in the smoked fish, is even less when you smoke with the FTT, less than the required amount or the minimum amount with the European Union standards. So the FTT has come to help the women not only save time, save energy, make sure that we save on post-harvest losses, so that they are able to now divert this time to do other activities.
Under the EU Strait PNG program, a pilot FTT processing facility has been established in the Karawap community of East Sepik, benefiting the Karawambo Women's Business Group. These women have received extensive training in product quality, safety, stock management, finance, and marketing. This transformative initiative showcases the power of technology in empowering women and boosting economic growth in Papua New Guinea's fishing communities. Carol Kido Jr., TVWAN News.
The Department of Agriculture and Livestock on Thursday, the 1st of June, signed a memorandum of agreement with the North Fly and South Fly districts of Western Province for the transfer of state leases to agriculture leases for agriculture projects. Minister Aya Tambua signed the MOA with DAL Acting Secretary Dr. Nelson Simbiken, the North Fly MP and Vice Minister for the Mining and Border Development James Donald, and North Fly District Administrator Greg Andrew. The estates relate to portions 234, 240, 241 and 242 in North Fly and portion 9 in Suki, Nakaku in the South Fly District. Minister Tambua said the MOU will provide the framework, terms and conditions and responsibilities between DAL and the North Fly DDA. You're watching TV1 News. Stay tuned. We'll have news from overseas when we return.
There's a sense of pride when you're able to do something right, a financial decision that has just really good benefits. With BSP Life Insurance, there's that alleviation of that worry when you pass away. The benefits of the BSP Life Insurance would meet those expenses on behalf of my family. If you're young and you have kids, you owe it to your children to make sure they're not left behind when you pass on.
With you for life.
A true champion is measured by their courage, their determination, and their passion to never give up and to always keep trying. With a delicious Milo in milk taste and added nutrients, Milo in milk is a great way to fuel our little champions with nourishing energy every day. Because true champions give it their all.
Milo, PNG and Mia. Fine PNG made.
It's in the highs and in the lows. It's in the big things and the small things too. It's hard to put into words, but you'll know it when you see it. Terrain tamer, when quality counts.
When you're spending time with family, when you've got a big day ahead, when you have given it all you've got, when you're putting on a feast, that's when you want the best. That's when you want flame rice. New flame rice. Win him, Olgeta.
Kelly was onto it, but comes back out. Adenua gives him a second chance. He fell. He kicked it straight. And it didn't stop.
We're forward of the ball. It gets past Cameron. Josh Dacos. Lipinski. Degoe. There we are.
Welcome back. In a Ukrainian village on the Russian border, the remnants of a torture chamber tell a horrifying tale. Locals say Russian troops tortured hundreds of civilians. Those investigating what happened there say that depraved orders came from the top.
This is about as close as any Ukrainian politician would get to Russia. It's 2.5 kilometers to Russia, that way, the mayor tells us. He's brought us to his hometown of Kazachalopan near Kharkiv to show us where Russian occupiers interrogated and tortured civilians.
It was in this basement room where they brought local people to be interrogated. In the main torture chamber, they used electric currents and hot wax and needles. lifted people to the ceiling, breaking their hands and breaking their ribs.
One morning, Russian soldiers came for the mayor. He wasn't at home, so they grabbed his mother instead.
They kept her in the snow for about an hour in her underwear while the house was searched. After that, they took my mother to the basement where they assaulted her with electrical currents and psychologically pressured her.
Unlike in other parts of Ukraine, the people in this village had no chance to flee when Russia invaded. The war began, the troops crossed the border, and almost immediately this village was under Russian occupation. 27 torture chambers were found in the Kharkiv region after liberation, and police are vowing to track down all perpetrators.
Police investigators have registered more than 11,000 criminal cases on war crimes, and for us every case is a priority, especially cases where people were tortured. Torture was the norm for the Russian military. This is a violation of all international rules, all international laws. It is a war crime.
Even if those who committed these acts of torture have returned to Russia, they may be trialled in absentia. Eventually, when this town was liberated, the mayor was reunited with his mother. "I've been waiting," she said. "I knew you would return." But the scars remain from the months of terror that all endured.
The Environment Protection Authority is investigating the source of a spill involving fluorocene, a substance used by plumbers to check for leaks and blockages in sewage systems and underground pipes. Melbourne Water said this discoloration was believed to have made its way to the river from the Elizabeth Street main drain and cleared up overnight.
Well, the water of the Yarra River has returned this morning to its usual murky brown shade, and you certainly don't want to normally take a dip in these waters at the best of times, but late yesterday afternoon there was even more of a reason not to contemplate it. Walkers along the riverfront here just near the Flinders Street station were really surprised to see this almost cartoonish radioactive hue of fluorescent green, reminiscent of scenes out of The Simpsons and Springfield. But the Environment Protection Authority does say that it doesn't believe that this substance is toxic. They say that they believe that it is a plumber's dye called fluorocene, which is typically used to check the connections in underground pipes and has then come out into the Yarra. And if you think you've seen this recently, then you're absolutely right, because the same material discoloured the Grand Canal in Venice, and that was also found to be this fluorocene substance. The EPA says that it probably has dispersed because this substance is quite quick to disperse and also move downstream. But they're still saying that people shouldn't make contact with it until the source of the substance can be found.
Federal Greens leader Adam Bandt has accused the Northern Territory government of hiding a report on future emissions. The allegation comes as big oil and gas companies stand poised to open projects in the Beetaloo Basin and off the coast of Darwin.
A critical report that could lay bare trouble for the future climate.
We've been asking the government for years about where this report is, and we keep getting fobbed off.
It's been almost 3 years since the NT government released its last forecast projecting where carbon emissions are heading into the future. The report painted a dire picture of intense fires, droughts and more hot days under a high emissions future scenario. It's since missed 2 deadlines to release the latest forecasts in 2021 and 22.
Labor is hiding these reports because they know they will tell a very sorry tale that gas is pushing up Australia's climate pollution.
The lack of detail making the Territory and Australia's net zero targets difficult to meet.
Everyone now has the right to know exactly how much pollution is being put into the atmosphere by Labor.
The government says the work is being done and it can't be rushed.
There's things changing very quickly in that space around emissions. We're talking about carbon capture, use and storage in the Northern Territory. We're talking about offsets.
The problem for the government is that there is no pathway to net zero if we open up massive new gas projects like the Beetaloo, Barossa and the Middle Arm Gas and Petrochemicals Precinct.
The Territory and Western Australia are the only two jurisdictions in the country where carbon emissions are on an opposite trajectory to zero, with emissions up 13% on 2005 levels in the north.
I certainly expect that greenhouse gas emissions in the Northern Territory will increase significantly over the next 10 years.
The government says the final report is being considered, but could not provide any details on a release date.
It took Akol 3 years to get a rental, saying real estate agents would hang up as soon as he said hello. The Toowoomba resident from South Sudan believes it was due to the way he speaks, but the Queensland Human Rights Commissioner says complaints of racial discrimination can be very hard to prove.
Australia, those from diverse backgrounds can't help but feel particularly unlucky.
They will tell you that, oh, we treat people equally. But there are some situations that when people like myself would feel that I may be discriminated because of my name, because of my accents.
And he isn't alone.
I know so many people who rejected their application because of their language barrier, because of their accent, or because of the size of their family.
It's extremely hard for anyone to find accommodation at the moment, and it's a lot harder if you're a person of colour.
While the rental crisis is recent, discrimination from agents isn't.
Situation is still the same. I'm telling you about 18 years back, but now for all the newcomers, because I've been through this, I know how it feels.
The state's peak real estate body says it shouldn't happen.
It's entirely inappropriate to discriminate against someone on the basis of their skin colour or their ethnicity.
But the complaints haven't exactly been piling up at the Human Rights Commission.
Racial discrimination is very hard to prove, and that's one of the big reasons that people don't complain.
Ethnic community leaders acknowledge not all real estate agents discriminate against their people, but they expect better from those who do, and Australia.
Absolutely, Australia can do better.
A message ethnic renters hope will reach everyone.
A local business in Tasmania began mowing lawns free of charge after noticing a lot of clients simply couldn't afford their services. For Stacey Gaspero, it may just have saved her from being evicted.
When Max Heary started up his mowing business, he noticed not everyone could afford to get their gardens done.
People were on the brink of getting evicted, and then we'd obviously quote, and the people who wanted the quote were saying, oh no, like there's no way I can afford that, like I'm either on a pension or I'm just getting by.
He made the call to offer his services for free on a Friday to those in need.
It's really rewarding when you see people that are really grateful and you're obviously taking a load off their shoulders.
At Stacey Gaspero's place, the lawns were high and rubbish was piling up. She was worried she was facing eviction.
I have trouble with motivation because of mental issues, and I lost control.
But with help from Max, Stacey's yard has been transformed, her lease is secure, and she feels...
really good. Really good. Really, 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 really good.
While it started on a small scale, demand has grown, and Max now works with Mission Australia to find people most in need of a free mow.
If they can't afford to go to the doctor because they don't bulk bill anymore, they're not going to be able to afford to pay someone to come and do their lawn.
Probably the best aspect of doing this job would be when there's a family and there's kids inside, they're watching you mow their lawn, and then they come out at the end and are able to enjoy their lawn.
It's got a huge heart. Absolutely huge heart.
2 veteran psychiatrists in Tasmania are closing their practices because they fear a shortage of mental health beds will mean there's nowhere to safely refer their patients.
The past 2 decades, Dr. Marjana Ryback has helped thousands of mental health patients, but she says she's been left with no choice but to close her practice.
We have no place to admit the people who need hospitalisation. So that's devastating for us as clinicians and devastating for the patients.
Until now, she's been able to refer many of her patients to the St Helens Private Hospital in Hobart, which offers 31 mental health beds for inpatients, a separate 8-bed mother-baby unit, plus electro and magnetic therapies. But the decision by Healthscope to shut the facility has triggered protests amid concerns about whether other clinics will be able to handle the extra demand.
None of those facilities are new and none of them are extra help to what's going to be a great vacuum.
Dr Yvonne Turnier-Shea, who's worked out of St Helens for 18 years, shares the concerns of her colleague, saying patients suffering severe psychiatric conditions may not be able to access the medical treatment they require.
I cannot see how I can safely continue the kind of practice that I've been providing. I will have to close my practice, and it breaks my heart.
The Tasmanian government has already announced a new 3-bed mother-baby unit at the Royal Hobart Hospital.
We are also working with private providers, including the Hobart Clinic, in terms of those beds provision to ensure that we can have a seamless transition.
The Mental Health Council of Tasmania says the imminent closure of St Helens should be used as a catalyst for more beds in the public system, including in regional areas.
With closure, there comes disruption, but there also comes opportunity.
Opportunities that some psychiatrists believe won't be available soon enough.
And now the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Back home, regional forecast for the next 24 hours, southern Momase and New Guinea Islands region, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. For Highlands region, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms with areas of rain. And that ends the news segment. In sports, Hunters need a win in round 12 this weekend, and AS Academy hand Hekari first loss in OFC campaign.
Want more data for less? Get it now with Digicel's revamped Red Club. Enjoy data bundles from as low as 1 kilo per gigabyte. Plus rollover data, the widest coverage, fastest speeds, and best reliability. Only with Red Club. Join Digicel's exclusive Red Club today and get loads more data for less. Yes! Data bundles from as low as 1 kilo per gigabyte. Whoa! Join today for as low as 10 kilo weekly to access discounted data bundles and get more data for less. Dial *675# or visit the My Digicel app today. The Red Club. Only with Digicel.
They go inside again. West, well done. Riley West to make it 4 in a row here for the Dogs. That is right through the middle. What Johnson did in the other pocket at the other end a minute ago. He's going to go to the regulation drop pass. Have a look at that. Like an arrow. You can't do that. Triple Rugby Pacific. Divided the Pacific Islands on display. here at Santos this afternoon. Benji caught and caught. Welcome. What a fun to separate the marriage campaign this afternoon. There you go. Too easy. One, he will score. There it is, finally.
Lifted the bumper bar. Johnston, 50 years back. South get one back. Great play. Again, they undo them. Mariners away, and this will be a try.
It's the Spanish Grand Prix.
With us. In sports, the PNG Hunters find themselves in a must-win situation this weekend as they brace themselves for another uphill battle, this time against 7th-place Tweed Heads in round 12 of the QRL Host Plus Cup. After their round 11 loss to Northern Pride last week, the Hunters slumped to 11th position with 9 points from 6 losses, 3 wins and a draw.
And that's pretty much the story this afternoon. Northern Pride have come out proud winners this afternoon.
After their recent back-to-back losses, the PNG Hunters are under pressure to turn their fortunes around quickly in order to save their season with still 11 rounds to go. This Saturday they host Tweed Seagulls in a must-win situation game. The Tweed Seagulls also come into QRL round 12 following a loss, having capitulated against the Wynnum Manly Seagulls after taking an early lead. The scoreboard read 12-6 after 20 minutes in that game, but by full time, Wynnum Manly had constructed another 5 tries to finish 38-18 winners. Currently sitting in 7th position on the QRL Host Plus Cup ladder, Tweeds will be desperate to return to their winning ways against the Hunters on Saturday afternoon and maintain their position inside the top 8. The Hunters were dealt a harsh blow with skipper Il Alu leaving the field due to injury last week. 2 more Hunters players will be relying on their spine to lead the team around the park tomorrow. Halfback Jamie Mavoko is just 18 games into his QRL Host Plus Cup career, and his development is an ongoing process. There is still plenty of improvement left in Mavoko as the Hunters on-field general, and he will adopt lead playing-making duties again this week with youngster Joshua Mire named to play just his 4th Host Plus Cup game beside him. The only moment Mavoko and Mire paired together was in round 7 when Sakis Komati was out on suspension. Also receiving a call-up for this weekend's match are Trevor Solu and Benji Court pushing Kozubadi and Wezetensa out of the team, while journeyman Casey Dixon is set to make his comeback to the QRL Cup level from the Gurias. Utility Judah Rimbu replaces Wezetensa, while Epel Capinias moves back to the front row after covering for the injured Shevin Tanabe. The Stanley Teppens man failed to maintain steady home ground record of late, thus has forced the reshuffle to pivotal roles and positions to get a different outcome and bounce back onto the winner's circle. The Hunters are in the midst of a 4-game stretch on home soil after falling just short to the visiting Northern Pride last weekend. 2 matches have been scheduled to kick off round 8 of the Diesel ExxonMobil Cup tomorrow, Saturday, 3rd of June. In Pool A, winless Kimber Cutters will host Mount Hagen Eagles at the Peter Humphreys Oval, and in Pool B, Civic Pride welcomes reigning champions Hello Wigman to Pora Oval in Wewak. Papua New Guinea's premier national rugby league competition, the Diesel ExxonMobil Cup, hosts 2 Saturday matches in Pool A and Pool B respectively to kick off round 8. EMK Civic Pride again ordered to host defending premiers Croton Hello Wigman at home, the Pora Oval in Wewak at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, with a good crowd expected. From their last 3 home games, Pora Oval hasn't been a happy hunting ground for the new franchise, recording losses to ESO and Vipers and a draw against Lohanis. They currently occupy 5th place in Pool B with 3 points, 4 points behind 3rd place Wigman with 7 points. With Pride coming off a heavy loss to Big Brother club Agma Gurius in Kokopo last week, it doesn't get any easier having to back themselves up again, this time against the might of the defending champions, who are starting to hit their stride with 3 consecutive wins so far. Despite of the home ground advantage, Civic Pride will have their work cut out for them, knowing the premiers have most of their big guns back in the fray. However, if Pride can play to their strength, minimize their error rate, and stay consistent for the majority of the contest, the scoreline could be anything. Meanwhile, in Pool A, the Kimber Cutters have a big task on their hands tomorrow to stop the unpredictable Mount Hagen Eagles, who recently picked up their first win against Muruks 2 weeks ago. Interestingly, Cutters have recorded a number of impressive close scores, both home and away, but failed to put finishing touches to their game, which is quite frustrating. It's going to be a toss-up, but Eagles might just get home in the end. The Capital Rugby Union resumes round 9 of the competition this weekend. This round supposed to be played last weekend, but was suspended because of heavy downpour. Both fields are now good, therefore matches will convene on Saturday. The top of the table clash between Brothers and Defence Rugby Union clubs in the Premier Division will be an entertaining encounter between the 2 powerhouse clubs in the rugby league capital.
The Brothers Rugby Union Club, who sit atop the Pepsi Capital Rugby Union competition, will take on second-place Defence this weekend. Brothers is the only team in the competition that remains unbeaten in the past 8 rounds. The team won 5 matches and drew 2 to sit first on the ladder. Not far behind is the Defence Rugby Union team. Defence won 5 matches, drew 2 and lost 1. Both teams have shown strength through the middle using their big forward pack. They played a similar brand of football, with their forwards setting up the platform for the backs to strike out wide. The match will be class of the best forward pack. Whoever wins the battle in the middle will have a good chance of coming out on top. Defence will be fighting to stay on top, because if it loses this one, Nova, who sits equally on second spot with 5 wins, 2 losses and a draw, will move up to the second spot. In other Premier Division games on Saturday, 3rd place Nova Rugby Union Club will take on 7th place MBB Malins Rugby Union Club. On Sunday, Wanderers will take on Harlequins and Valley Hunters will go up against University Piggies Rugby Union team. It will be a thrilling weekend after the break due to bad weather last weekend. Fans are urged to come and support their teams. Rex Lita, TVWAN Sports.
Host Hagari United FC have started the inaugural Oceania Football Federation's Champion League campaign on the wrong side of the scoreboard, despite putting on a dominant performance against the visiting AS Academy Feminine of New Caledonia.
Running into Sir Hubert Murray Stadium with so much confidence, Hekari United couldn't ice some critical moments in the match when they had the opportunity. This came back to hurt them later in the contest. From the get-go, the visiting AS Academy Feminine were all but ready to give the home side a run for their money. The visitors distributed the ball quick to where they could to keep the host team working. This saw the AS Academy registered the first goal of the match in the opening 2 minutes through Drenga Leme from the right of the penalty box to give her side early lead of 1-0. New Caledonia's national team took it on from there and were certain to net a couple more goals. But the home side was not going to let that happen, defending the fast-flowing game from the AS Academy. Hikari United remained calm and composed, relying on their experienced players to lay counter-attack at the back of a strong defense line. There was strong contest in the middle and on the wings as both teams traded shot for shot until first half was over. They headed into the sheds 1-0 in favor of the visitors. Second half kicked off in style. With the clock ticking down, Hikari United kept pushing to level the scoreboard. AS Academy Feminine all the while tried to extend the lead and put the match to rest. Finally, the home team responded with a goal through captain Mari Kaipu on the penalty kick to level 1-1 in the 81st minute.
Take changes. Kaipu hits the back of the goal, and it is Hikari United.
The proceedings seemed destined for draw until an Ashley Goward ball found the net in the extra time to give AS Academy Feminine a dramatic 2-1 finish.
Well, she gets past Lavina Hola. One way, lays it back inside!
The teams will return on Saturday, the 3rd of June for their second matches. Rex Litter, TVWAN Sports.
And that's our sports segment for now, Jess.
Thank you, Terry. And that ends the news tonight. Tomorrow's bulletin will be at 7:30 p.m. due to the live broadcast of the NRL games. Have a safe weekend. Bye for now.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by BSP, our bank, our people.